Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of SportsTalk Philadelphia here on LaSalle TV. I'm your host, Tyler Harper, and we thought we were going to have a normal, just plain, easygoing show, and then the NBA trade deadline happened, and Sam Hinkie decided he was going to remind us who he was. We'll get to that in a little bit. First, let me introduce my panel. We got Mark Wilson returning to the desk. We got freshman Kevin Cook on again, and Tommy McIntyre returning to the desk as well. Let's talk some Sixers, guys, shall we? Because they did, well, everything. They started by trading Sinek Akkoil, if I'm even saying that right. I didn't know he was a Sixer, to be honest, to Denver for JaVale McGee and a first-round pick that belonged to Oklahoma City. Started off good, right? All right, fine, whatever. That's probably going to be the end of it. Nope. Everything changed. Sixers get involved in, what was it, like a 5-team deal?
It's like a 4, yeah.
Highlights. Michael Carter-Williams. Surprise, he's no longer a Sixer. Traded to Milwaukee. Isaiah Thomas somehow gets moved here, but he gets flipped to Boston. I don't know if he was ever really here in the first place. Again, we're still figuring details as they happen. We'll probably have more details on this next week. KJ McDaniels goes to Houston for Isaiah Cannon and a second-rounder. And the Sixers also get a Lakers top 5 pick that's protected through this year, 1 through 5. Guys, Mark, I'm going to start with you. Were you expecting anything like this?
First off, who's left on the Sixers? I really don't know.
Nerlens Noel and Joel Embiid, man.
So two of the people are left. No, this actually caught me totally off guard. I was driving down here, and my friend texted me and said, are you listening to what's happening in the NBA? I said, no, what's going on? And he said, the Sixers are gone. I said, what? He said, MCW got traded. I said, the Lord. It's a very difficult situation. Like Tyler said, we're still trying to figure out what the details are, but it's a little confusing in what the picks are getting, but the Sixers are getting first-round picks, so they're kind of getting something again for getting rid of MCW. So it seems that they're always still in this rebuilding stage, rebuilding together. They're still living with that hashtag. But it's going to be interesting to see what they do and what else and what comes about of it. Because I feel like we had a pretty good foundation with MCW as a point guard, but now he's gone, so we've completely gone back to ground zero and just starting again. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with these draft picks.
Kevin?
Yeah, to the national media, they're going to say we don't have anything anymore. But like you said, I mean, they're really, can you even include Embiid as on the team yet? You have Embiid, Saric, and they're not even on your team right now, so your only attracting figure right now is Nerlens Noel. As you said, they got rid of McDaniels. He was a fan favorite here in only half a year.
Even though his mom didn't like it.
Nah, and I think that had something to play in. I think that's why they traded him. And I don't even like the return that we got for him. We got a second-round pick and Isaac Cannon. I think Isaac Cannon's probably going to end up being your starting point guard, which saddens me deeply.
Hey, get those jerseys ready in the pro store. Get ready. Tommy, what do you make of this whirlwind, what's been an hour for the Sixers?
Yeah, I think it was like 1 o'clock. You saw the JaVale McGee, the trade, getting a first-round pick, top 18 protected for the 2015. I was like, hey, that's good. That's great. That's a nice little trade. I thought
that was going to be the day.
Yeah, well, the Sixers have so much cap space that they can take on a huge contract for JaVale McGee. That's like I think he's owed $11 million this year and then $12 million the following year in 2015, 2016. So they can take up on that money. They can even drop him. Really, they can just have him, put him on the waiver. They can just waive his contract and eat it up. And then this happens. And it's really shocking to see, but I think knowing that the way Michael Carter-Williams' name was always dropped in trades, especially during the draft, the past draft, I think a lot of it wasn't a lie. I think a lot of that trade talk was real, and they once he didn't get traded, they kind of just said, oh, no, we're not going to trade him, just to get people more interested maybe down the line.
Yeah, so just playing off this, do you agree with this move? Tommy, we'll start with you because, again, obviously details are still being sorted out. The national media is still sorting out details as we go of this because this is all still developing even after the 3 o'clock deadline. But are you in favor of this? Yes, we got a lot more picks, but again, KJ McDaniels, fan favorite, MCW, obviously fan favorite, rookie of the year. What are your thoughts? Do you give the thumbs up, thumbs down?
What is fan favorite on the Sixers, for goodness sakes? That doesn't mean much.
True.
They're not all. These guys aren't all-stars. Michael Carter-Williams has not really played this year. Yeah, he had a Rookie of the Year in one of the worst draft classes we've seen in recent years.
That's true.
Michael Carter-Williams has not been that great. He's coming off a shoulder injury over the summer. Really has never found his groove. he really has just not developed that shot yet, and I think that was his Achilles heel and will always be throughout his career, even when he's with Milwaukee and whoever else he's ever with. And then in terms of trading KJ McDaniels, I mean, he was great in the beginning of the year. Yeah, he has great dunks. He's a defensive guy, but he's not going to be a star in this league. He's a really nice bench piece, maybe, but that's about it. So, I mean, trading away him, yeah, maybe a fan favorite now, but you got to stockpile first-round picks. It's all about, he's trying to follow that OKC model where they could get a James Harden, a Kevin Durant, and then also a Russell Westbrook. He's trying to get those, and eventually, one of these times, he's going to get that star, and when he does, everyone's going to be happy.
There's only going to be so many trade deadlines. Kevin, thumbs up, thumbs down, maybe in between, who knows?
Immediately, I give him the thumbs down, but I gave him the thumbs down right after the Drew Holiday trade and right after the Dario Saric pick. But as it keeps coming, Sam Hinkie proves that he's right as time goes on. We're in a better position now. I still think we're in a better position now than we were with Drew Holiday. Good.
Yeah. Well, no, like, again, man, we're just working together on this one. Again, we're still figuring out details. Mark, agree, disagree?
Thumbs down. I mean, in my opinion, I think they just kind of wasted the fans' time and money the past year or 2 years. I mean, you know, everyone's kind of banking on MCWs being the next AI of sorts to lead the team, kind of help them rise them up from the ashes, and they just got rid of him. And I said earlier, it's, you know, you just took the foundation that we had and just destroyed it, really. I mean, so what more do you want? You're back to the drawing board. There's not much going to go on. And the thing I don't like is that McGee is, like Tommy brought up, $11.5 million this year and $12 million next year. You know, Utah unloaded him because he was paid so much and he's an injury-prone player. That's absolutely stupid of the Sixers to do that, to pick up such a big contract with a player that's older and who's going to get injured. It's not what they're looking for, and I really hope they waive him and get rid of him. Just keep that salary cap space and maybe go sign LeBron in 5 years. Who knows?
5 years.
Bold predictions.
Isn't it crazy that, well, and let's keep in mind, just this past week, the Sixers released a promo video with the slogan, "This starts now." Just kidding, everyone. This doesn't start now. This starts
now,
in 3 years.
This starts now in 5 days when we trade
Let's
everyone
hit
away.
that big reset button. Why not? Not obviously not the greatest planning by
This
this.
starts now as in we're trading more people.
Yeah.
That's what I think that's what he was going for there.
No, that Together We Build hashtag we created 2 years ago, that starts now.
Exactly.
That starts now. And again, like MCW was one of the centerpieces on that promo poster with him and Noel and Embiid. I don't even know what to think anymore. Neither does Joel Embiid, by the way, because he tweeted out, "Guys, what's going on? Someone help me here." To which alum tweeted back to him, "You work with the guy." Hi, Joel. We don't know anything. So, again, I have no idea. But let's talk uniforms, because again, the Sixers sent out that promo email. So let's send out. They had a new logo in the sent out that actually looks pretty cool. I think it says Sixer City. And the promo video gave a combination of these three uniforms with Dr. J, Billy Cunningham, and Wilt Chamberlain, saying it's basically going to be a combination of these three uniforms with that Sixer City logo somewhere where probably maybe like a patch or something as a more prevalent secondary logo. Again, I like the secondary logo. We'll have to see what the uniforms look like. Then again, we'll have to see who's wearing these uniforms next year. But Mark, we'll start with you. Do you like that the Sixers are starting this total rebranding, it seems like?
I mean, let's give it a second shot. Why not while we're at it? But I really don't like the new logo. It looks kind of weird. It almost looks like a comet coming straight down, in my opinion. It's just not appealing, really. It's a little outdated, I think. And the Sixers going for uniforms that are kind of throwback. They just did that. So I think the Sixers really just need something new and fresh and just brand new, not like trying to build off their old glory days. So I'm not a fan of it.
Kevin?
Yeah, I see it as kind of like a fresh start. I mean, new team now.
They kind of did the same thing with when AI was in the first couple of years, when they had those black and gold logos.
Yeah, I think that it's trying to turn the page. You know, you're wearing the old material in which you're not doing too well. Get rid of that. Maybe the new material will do better for you. Look good. You feel good. I don't know. Maybe something along those lines. But yeah, I mean, but now that's what I was thinking prior to the trade deadline. But after all the moves that they just made, are they really trying to win now? Like
Apparently not.
I'm lost now because of that.
I think we're all lost. Tommy, real quick, just your thoughts on Sixers rebranding, logos, anything really?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the uniforms, I mean, I guess that's always an option. I mean, obviously the ones they're wearing, they made a change from the ones that everyone has known AI to wear. The one where just like 76ers ones, those were changed, and they had these these other ones with like a slit in them, like a red thing. It was different.
Right.
And then they finally have the ones they have now, which started like 3 or 4 years ago. So, I mean, there's always time for changing that. But in terms of the overall Sixers, in terms of we start now, I mean, the Sixers, think about it. They have a possibility, if everything miraculously goes away, to have 4 first-round picks this year. I don't think that's going to happen because you have the top 5 projected for the Lakers, and right now they're 4th. And then you got the Heat's pick that you're definitely going to get now. Even if they get Dragic, maybe they'll finish like top 20, but that's like a top 10 projected. So that's going to be fine. They'll have that. So they're going to have at least 2 plus their own. And then they're getting the OKC one that if they don't get it this year, it's 1 through 15 protected next year, and OKC probably won't make the playoffs. They're probably going to make this year. And if they get in a run, we could get that this year. So in that sense, we could have 4 first-round picks.
Wow, that's a lot. Again, we'll probably have this all more ironed out, ironclad next week once everything dies down. But now let's move on. Everybody take a deep breath. All right, now on to Phillies talk. Spring training's here, yay! Even though everyone's saying the Phillies are going to have like 90-some losses, yay!
We've done worse.
We've done worse. You're right, Mark. We've done worse. So I want to read a quote from Cole Hamels because, of course, he arrives in camp, so he finally gets his quotes directly out there about all the trade rumors surrounding him in the offseason. So I wonder if that's going to happen next, knowing this town. Cole Hamels says, quote, "I just want to win. That's all. That's all any competitor wants. And I know it's not going to happen here. This isn't what I expected. It's not what the Phillies expected either." I can't really blame Cole for this point of view because, I mean, obviously he's a competitor. He wants to win. He's in the prime of his career right now. And he's not saying that he's like demanding a trade by any means. He's not saying get me out of here right now. To me, he's kind of saying, yeah, I'll play here, but obviously I want to play for a winner because that's what anyone wants. Mark, do you like what Cole said?
Nah, I mean, you have to give him credit. To let him be him and let him be truthful. I mean, he is right. He does want to play for a winner. We can't hold that back from him. But for him, as someone as a veteran player on this team and the ace of the staff, you have to look up to him as to be the leader of the team and set the standard. Hey, we're gonna win. Not, hey, I want to jump ship and go somewhere else where I know that we are gonna win. And I think the best way, even describe, we'll get to it later on with Ryan Howard too, is that the lead story in the Inquirer in the sports section last week was awkward spring training. And I think that just that just nails that just hits it around the head. It's going to be an awkward. Cole Hamels says it's the first day. So he might be gone. Howard's most likely going to be gone. It's just going to become awkward of who's going to say what and who's going to get moved. So I don't like Cole Hamels coming and saying this at all because it sets a bad precedent for the whole year.
Kevin?
Yeah, I don't really like them either. I mean, from a fan standpoint, he's the guy that's bringing you in. Cole's the ace on the staff. He's their best player right now. He's in his prime. And I understand from a business aspect and from just a sports aspect how he wants to win and succeed and maybe get to a team where he can maybe even be closer to home like LA or San Diego. But from the fan aspect, I don't really want my leader jumping ship.
Yeah, Tommy, what are your thoughts on Hamels' comments?
It's not surprising the words he said. I mean,
No.
I think I read like a couple articles in the past when he signed that long contract that, I mean, are you signing, do you feel that the Phillies are going to be in position to continue to go be a winner and compete for a championship? And he said yes. And he said, but then they also asked, well, what if they're not anymore? What if they decide to rebuild? And he said, that's going to change my whole view on things. And then obviously, look, it has.
Yeah.
So it's not surprising in that sense. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think he really should, I mean, just do his work, play well, and then if they don't trade him in this next until the season starts, then trade deadline, play as well as he's going to do, and he'll be anywhere because if he's playing great, people are going to want pitchers like he is.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, speaking of pitchers, let's talk about another pitcher who we really haven't said too much about, at least now on this show, this offseason. That's Cliff Lee. You could see his career stats there: 143.91, 3.52 ERA, 1,820 strikeouts, 1.20 WHIP. Of course, he's a Cy Young winner. He was here when we went to the World Series against the Yankees in 2009. So the man has accolades. But what's holding up people from wanting Cliff Lee? Is it age? Is it money? Is it his injury woes from last year? What is it?
I think it's his injuries, honestly. It's injury woes, that, and it's the same thing that's affecting Cole Hamels, is the Phillies as a whole inability to create offense and give the pitcher support. Yeah, the pitchers can go out there and throw great games, but it just casts a terrible image and shadow on these players, Hamels and Lee both, that they have all these losses, and that's it's a quick glance. Hey, they have these losses; they must not be pitching well. Hamels went out last year, had the second most quality starts in MLB, which is more than 7 innings, and so they're, and Lee included. They're both putting up really good numbers. It's just they just don't have the support, And between the injuries and the lack of support, that's what's holding teams up.
Yeah,
I think it's a combination of everything. I mean, the injury hurts him because he's not out there pitching. If he was out there pitching, teams would want him if he was doing well. And with him being older, it makes it even a harder sell, and his contract doesn't make it any easier.
Yeah, it's a combination of things. I mean, like Kevin said, age is always going to be a factor. The piling up of injuries. I mean, he really has not had the run support, especially when you're on the Phillies. His win totals are there. He are not there, but his ERA is always pretty good when he's healthy. But he's been dwindling down these last couple years now, and I think when he's not getting the run support for him to be upbeat and pitching well, it's not going to look good for other teams watching.
Yeah, I think at least he's upbeat, though, because this past week when he arrived and had his press conference, he answered questions with a magic 8-ball, trying to be safe with his answers. And he got a little nervous there when the reporter somewhat asked if he wanted to be traded, and he shook it, and he's like, well, better not say that, and he shook it again. So at least Cliff's in good spirits, so we'll see how he does. He had bronchitis earlier in the month, so that's why he hasn't thrown off the mound here yet, but we'll see what happens. And now, speaking of awkward, we move on to Ryan Howard, and let's look at this cartoon from the Inquirer this past week. It's Ruben Amaro saying, hey, Ryan, hey, buddy, welcome to Clearwater, when the quote on his shirt says, we'd be better off without Howard, Ruben. And Ryan Howard does not look happy. Mark, you mentioned this earlier, but how awkward of a situation is this for Ryan Howard?
It's very awkward. How do you want one of these guys that was your MVP, your #1 player for all these years, and someone you always turn to,
who you re-signed to a big deal?
Exactly. You re-signed. You kind of put your faith in. Now you're saying, hey, we don't want you anymore. Thanks, but no thanks. And I think what's more fitting, many more people's opinions, is if Ryan Howard was wearing that shirt saying, we don't want you anymore, Ruben Amaro, because he's the man that's really messing up this Phillies team, in my opinion. He gave all these players big contracts. Now they're older. They're not producing. He emptied our farm system. So it's really Ruben Amaro that people don't want there. Ryan Howard probably has another year or two left in him where you can play him. At that point, maybe at the end of this year, next year, start platooning him with some young guys. But I think it's really Ruben Amaro that's going to be the most awkward departure this year.
Kevin, how awkward is this?
I think it's got to be real awkward for Ryan Howard. I mean, this guy's coming out and saying, we'd be better off without you. Well, I mean, he probably wants to leave. Like, he probably won't want to play for a
Ruben
team that
could release him, but he's got to pay him all that money.
Mm-hmm. And I like where Mark was going with it, as some of the players probably are saying the same thing about Ruben. I mean, for the longest time, I was always worried that Ruben was selling too many pieces to bring in pitchers like Oswalt, Halladay, and even a player like Pence. And now, 5 years down the line, you're really struggling because we gave away all of our top prospects for it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Tommy, real quick, Ryan Sandberg came out and said Ryan Howard still our starting first baseman. Do you have confidence in him?
I mean, he went through a lot of things last season. I mean, there's that whole report with his family situation right now. He had the whole lawsuit over money, and anytime that's going on. And he was really a family guy. That was like really prevalent throughout his career. He would always go back home. You would always see him. Cincinnati, is that where he's from, or St. Louis?
St. Louis.
St. Louis.
And then he always had family there. So that's definitely had probably an effect on him. I mean, the guy's getting older. Ever since he got hurt in that playoff game, when he fell down and our season came to a close and he came to an end, that was pretty much the end of the Howard we ever knew. And even before that, he was already falling off. But that was pretty much it. And he's never been the same. He's never been able to get on those late August, September runs. And it's a shame. But I don't know if I have confidence. I think they're definitely going to have to platoon him. But hopefully, hopefully he's trying to play better so maybe they can trade him if you want to.
Yeah, and even last year, like, he made those weird media comments, which he never made before, about you guys keep forgetting that baseball's just a game. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty easy for you to say. You're the one making that living in that house with a moat. Let's remember that, folks. His house has a moat. So this guy, he's got the money. He's all right. All right, we'll talk more about the Phillies later, but now we move on to the Philadelphia Flyers, who are approaching their own trade deadline, but they actually made a re-signing. As we take a look here, Nick Schultz, who the Flyers picked up right at the beginning of free agency last year, the former Minnesota Wild defenseman and Edmonton Oilers defenseman. He's played 55 games. He only has 2 goals and 11 assists, but good enough for the Flyers. They signed him to a 2-year extension. Really, the MO for Nick Schultz is, he's not going to show up a lot on the scorecard a lot of nights, but he's going to give you those tough plays in the corners. He's going to help you out in protecting the goalie and protecting whether it's Steve Mason or Ray Emery. So, Tommy, let's start with you. Do you like this signing?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you can, hopefully give yourself some security there on the defensive side is always good. I mean, especially now when you have goalie troubles or guys. I mean, with Mason getting in and out of being hurt, I mean, you're definitely going to need a strong defense in front of him. So that's definitely for sure. But I mean, the Flyers still got a long way. Obviously, this season has not been that great. It's been up and down. So it's a small signing, I would say. But I mean, I guess it just brings confidence to Nick Schultz.
Kevin?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, like you said, it adds depth to your defense. It's not a bad contract, so you're not putting too much in. And we don't expect Nick Schultz to be Chris Pronger or Chara.
No, we do not.
But you expect him to come and play every night, and he does that for us. 2 goals and a decent amount of assists.
You mentioned it brings depth. Yes, it does. This will be 9 healthy defensemen. So there's probably going to be someone dealt. A lot of the reports are saying either Braden Coburn or Nick Grossman, maybe Kimmo Timonen it's dealt. So Evan, we'll start with you here. Do you like that? That means that one of those two are going to leave, or at least according to reports, maybe Timonen leaves. Who knows?
For Timonen, I hope he kind of goes. That way, maybe he's a chance of winning a cup. But for some of the other guys, like I'm not going to be willing to trade away people. Like I don't know where the Flyers we don't know if they're going to be buyers or sellers. So right now,
Ron Hextall came out and said that they're not gonna be buyers. If anything, they'll probably be maybe not dramatic sellers per se, like Claude Giroux safe, we hope. But
that would be a big sell.
That would be a really big sell.
That he works in the same building, guys. I mean, come on now.
No, but that would be like Hinkie trading away the entire team.
He just did that with MCW.
No, he didn't. They still got some players.
Moving on. We had something there. No, but so again, and of course, Timonen is hoping to come back at the end of the month. But coming this weekend to the Wells Fargo Center, a bit of a return, a reunion of sorts, as Peter Laviolette is making his return to the Wells Fargo Center with the Nashville Predators. Let's take a look at his tenure with the Flyers. 145 wins, 98 losses, and 29 overtime losses during his tenure in Philadelphia. And of course, led the Flyers to the Eastern Conference Championship in his first year, but then of course, they fell just short in that Game 6 against the Chicago Blackhawks. Patrick Kane putting that goal in just past Michael Leighton. It still hurts. But anyway, guys, we'll start with Mark and go down the line. Peter Laviolette's true legacy with the Flyers, coming in, changing everything around, leading them to a conference championship, and then of course falling off, and then who could forget last year, 3 games into the season, he gets fired.
I think it's gonna be a good one. He's gonna get the typical warm Philadelphia welcome at first. We see that a lot of players, and fans really liked him, so he's definitely gonna get that warm welcome. But it's gonna be interesting to see where he goes from here. I mean, he definitely proved his point here in Philadelphia, but we'll see. It's very interesting to see how they're gonna react to him.
Kevin?
Yeah, I think the fans will act pretty good to Lavi. I mean, he was a well-liked coach here, and he had the grit that the city likes. I mean, I talked about it before.
Play with some jam.
Yeah, I talked about it before, the Bilesma fight, and who can forget the historic comeback against the Bruins?
Yeah.
And he called the timeout in Game 7 down 3.
Ultimate timeout.
The best timeout, arguably, in Philly history. Probably better than anyone Andy Reid ever took.
Shots fired.
Which Andy Reid timeout?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, God. Tommy, real quick, your thoughts on Lavi?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the memory, I mean, the last great memories, obviously, is that Stanley Cup run in 2010. So that was, I was able to go to the last Stanley Cup game where we lost, unfortunately.
You were there?
I was at the losing one.
Ouch.
And it was, but I mean, I was at the game before they won, though. But it was, those are the memories, and I think he'll get a lot of, I think the crowd will praise him.
I think so. I hope so. And you and I will be there to actually cover the game this weekend, so we hope to get some good footage of Lavi talking about his memories in Philadelphia. But with that being said, it's time for the Fast Five. This whole show's been kind of fast today, but let's see where it goes from here. Tommy, SNL 40 was this weekend. What was your favorite moment?
I think I'm going to go with the Jeopardy sketch. I think that was the best.
It's a good
I
choice.
think that was I like the Californians, but because I always find it so absurd.
Oh, yeah. They
But
just try to make each other play
I
characters.
think Jeopardy was probably up there for the best.
My personal favorite was Wayne's World, just because it was them trying to troll Kanye West. That was fantastic. All right, Kevin, what's one of your favorite just SNL sketches in general? It doesn't have to be like your top favorite, but what's a good one that you like when it comes on or when it came on?
Well, I mean, you gotta go with one of the classics. I like Wayne's World. Matt Foley's really good.
Motivational speaker.
There was one recently that I can't remember it right now, but Jebediah Atkinson. I'm a big fan of him. I love
Next.
it. Exactly. He just comes out and trolls all the movies.
Speaking of next, we move on. Tommy, Ben Revere had 49 stolen bases last year. Over or under for him this year?
I'm gonna go under. That's a hard. I mean, anytime you get close to 50, I'm gonna say he's around that play. Maybe like over 40 around there. I mean,
Yeah.
that's his one asset on this team. If you get on base, is steal bags. So
Yeah,
I'll
and
put him around 40.
He's going to have to be the leadoff guy
Yeah.
with J-Roll gone. All right, Mark, your favorite Peter Laviolette moment?
The opposing coach escapes my head right now, but usually mentioned it, Kevin, where he tried to argue and try to fight the other coach, leaning over the boards, yelling at them, and Pierre is just standing there in the middle. Hands
Poor
down, best memory.
The one time I'll ever say it, but poor Pierre Maguire, just standing there helpless. Peter Laviolette snaps a stick and is standing on the bench.
That shows the true grit of the city. Peter
Yes.
Laviolette.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He ate, slapped, and breathed that grit.
Trying to get some jam.
Yeah. And Kevin, I was going to ask you about Sam Hinkie. Should he be the next president? Because I was going to make a funny joke about, him getting McGee in the first round pick, but then everything else happened. So do you still have, is your faith still in Hinkie we trust?
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, I didn't like the trades immediately, but as time goes on, I kind of agreed with them more. So I would vote for Hinkie as president. I think he'd maneuver himself into position anyway, but I would vote for him.
We'll see what the future holds. The DNC isn't here in Philly next year, so we'll see what happens. But that's it. Democratic
Get rid
National
of Obama
Convention.
voters.
That's the end of our show this week. You can follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter. We're the air. We're present. You can see all our full episodes on YouTube. The Lot. Trust us. We're there. And again, we post on the regular, and you can see all our full episodes. So that'll do it for Tommy, for Kevin, and for Mark. This has been a whirlwind of a Sports Talk Philadelphia episode. I'm Tyler Harper. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you next week where maybe things will return back to normal. We'll see. Thank you for joining us.
I think we pull Hanky